It's a whole new perspective. So we are now going to take apart the last bits of Honeycomb, pull off the motors, pull off the shell, and get everything completely stripped down so that we're ready to rebuild this robot from scratch. So let's start by getting the shell off. And I will give you a tilt up so you can actually see what's going on. Always the very trusty Skelly tool. So you can see these motors are pretty nasty. They've taken quite a bit of abuse. If you've been diving with the OpenROV 2.7s, you might notice that the actual chassis is a lot different. But that's still fine as long as we can get these motors out. And you can actually see, yeah, they're rusty, yeah, they're nasty, yeah, they're dirty, but they still spin. And this one still spins really nicely. So that's a pretty good sign that all is not lost. Do not abandon all hope, ye who enter here, quite yet. I think we can safely say this system is very crusty. So we're going to take these off right at the solder joint. So, motor number 1 is off. It's in really, really rough shape. I definitely won't be using this motor again. The mount, however, is fine. The mounts haven't actually changed in the last couple of years, so the new motors use the same mount. And since these mounts are on, and they're on solid, I'm going to leave them in place. Now you see I'm taking the pins all the way out. And the reason I'm doing that is because they are pretty beat up, and I'm going to replace them with new pins to make getting the next set of motors in a lot nicer. Let me move that into position so you can actually see what I'm doing. And a lot easier to work with. Alright. Motor number 2 is free. Also pretty disgusting. But still spins, which frankly with the amount of corrosion on it I'm surprised with. One thing to remember with these brushless motors is that though the wires look exposed, they're actually coated in a clear ceramic, so the wires themselves are actually pretty well protected. You can see the nut and the axle and everything, those are really, really corroded, and obviously there's some huge rust puddles there, but the fact that this still spins freely shows you that the magnets are sealed, the wires are pretty well sealed too. And on to the final motor. Once again, I'm just going to completely take these set screws out. We will use new set screws, but we will keep the mounting where it is. Again, this is the one that spun the best. It still spins really freely, so it'll be interesting to see what happens when we give these things a new set of wheels. One last thing to take a look at. We've got the IMU back here. This is the accelerometer, the pressure gauge, all the good stuff that tells you what the robot's doing. The pressure gauge is actually in a little bit of a gel housing. The gel, there's stuff on it, but the gel itself still feels pliable. I probably will not mess with it. It's fully sealed in epoxy, and you can kind of see that no water really got in there because there's no way for it to get in. So that's all for now. I'm going to clean these mounts up. I'm going to clean the housing up. I'm going to clean this mess of wires up, and then we're finally ready to start rebuilding this robot. So join me next time as Honeycomb rises.